Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. We're doing something a little different. Of course, I am Nick, and as usual, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Myron.
Hello, folks. How y'all doing tonight? Or today?
Or whenever.
Or this morning. Yeah, whenever you're listening to it.
Well, man, We're going to change the pace here. Everybody's probably listening like, hey, we're jumping on board. We were looking for the Wrestling News Weekly. Well, this week, obviously with the Christmas holidays, we recorded this prior, by the way, because everybody's going to ask us. We recorded this prior to Raw and SmackDown this week, because we were trying to spend some time with the family, so we get to live longer. How about that?
Yeah. This whole Christmas thing is really big to people in my family. I personally don't really care, but if they're getting to the point where you got to do this Christmas thing, where I'm like, okay, I will if I have to, and I had to. So here we are, ready for another episode of Christmas.
Yep.
And not another Wrestling News Weekly. So this week you're going to get a special treat brought to you by the lawyer who did my first divorce.
Yeah. God bless him, right? But so what we decided to go this week was we said, hey, we're going to change it up a notch, and we're going to do our award show for 2017. Basically, you and me, it's our opinions. I always tell people, don't DM and flip out. You can share your thoughts on any of the categories. Yeah. Simply, message us on Facebook at Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. You can DM us at Tapped Out Pod on Twitter. Email us at tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Any of the above, we're okay with that. Just tell us your thoughts and opinions, but it's just that. It's just our opinions. We kind of mixed it up a little bit. We got categories. We have WWE. We have other, which is all the other promotions. And then indies. Now, when we say indies, it's something we physically saw.
Yeah.
So it's something that, we're putting a vote on something that maybe you didn't see, but we saw it live, or we were at a show, or something specifically. So,
hey, there's a lot of stuff we didn't see that you saw and you might think is better.
And that's the cool part. They can let us know.
We went to a lot of shows. For a while, we were going for at least 3 shows a month. And it's a lot of wrestling. We haven't seen every wrestling. We haven't seen, we've been through the Southeast lately, but we haven't Nick's been as far as Colorado, but we haven't got it all because there's a wonderful amount of indie wrestling these days. So this is what we saw and what we liked and what we saw.
Right.
If you got any ideas, you got any different ideas, you don't agree with us, then let us know. But don't pitch a fit, because we are only judging what we saw.
Absolutely. 100% agree. So like I said, we got a few categories we're going to go through. Then, like I said, if you want to chime in, that's what Twitter, Facebook, etc. emails are for. And you know what? Maybe next week we'll come back and we'll even throw some of your stuff out there. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds great.
Well, buddy, let's start with one that, we're going to kind of work our way in a backwards kind of approach. We're going to start with most improved, and that's going to be most improved wrestler. This one was hard for me, man. Really, really hard for me. And I'm going to start, believe it or not, I'm going to throw everybody for a loop. I'm going to do WWE first, and then work our way to something that we personally saw. At my most improved WWE, people are going to be shocked. It's like, how the hell could you say he was the most improved? But Braun Strowman is my most improved wrestler in the WWE this year.
I got to agree with you, man. I don't think there's a way not to agree with you on this.
I mean, did they all year long built this guy to just an absolute beast? I mean, they did I thought the year before, it's hard to believe this dude's only been in the business 3 years.
Yeah, and the thing is, you've watched his step-by-step improvement, his growth as an individual, his growth as a wrestler. You've got basically a front row seat on this man and his progress. And it was a great thing to watch, because now he is the monster that they've been making him out to be. Now he's actually he's scary. He's huge. His skill is there. He used to just be a brawler, but his moves, everything else, are just killing it.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone through. I mean, think about all the people he's just torn through, and they've done. It's a rare exception to where the WWE has done a pretty good job overall protecting Braun Strowman's overall, the gimmick, the image, whatever you want to call it. he wins when he's supposed to win for the most part. And when he loses, it's a protected manner in which he loses.
Yep.
So I thought that was, in my opinion, I like Braun Strowman as the most improved, and he may not be the last time you hear the guy on a list, so I'm just, that kind of goes for something. My other's going to shock a lot of people because everybody's like, I didn't think you watched this promotion a whole lot, which I do. I watch it more than I let on, right? Just because we don't cover it doesn't mean. In other, I put the Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark, down in NXT. To me, he's a mixture of Goldust and Prince. And man, he's all in on this character.
Shit. I did not look at your notes, but I was going to say the same thing because this guy was pretty much a joke when he came out. He was just not even likable at all. And now he's turned into somebody who has not only been he had one of the best matches of the year with Aleister Black. It's one of the WWE's top 20-something matches of the year. Even on their website, they put it up. The guy did phenomenal this year. He fought Aleister Black, who's a fine technician, been doing this forever. This guy really, really turned it up this year. And I would have to say he's my most improved wrestler for that bracket too.
And the crazy thing is, he comes out of that whole Tough Enough thing they did, and, he basically was an enhancement guy, putting Aries and, Bobby Roode, that kind of stuff, putting them over. And now he's got one of the hottest gimmicks in NXT. I mean, everybody, if you may not like the character, but you're paying attention. And, I think it's because it's an old school. They gave him the character. He just embraced it and ran with it.
Yeah.
You can tell
him do what he needed to do.
Well, you can tell he's all in. It could have been a gimmick a lot of people wouldn't be comfortable with. And, Dustin Rhodes back with the Goldust, the original run.
Yeah.
That's kind of the comparison I give, that he's like, at least he just kind of shut up and he listened and he jumped all in and he's running with it. And he's different, so he stands out.
Yeah. It's something that's going to have a future. He may not be in this gimmick, but this guy, he's going to have a future in the business somewhere.
Oh, I agree with you. And that kind of leads me to the Indy guy that was the guy that stood out to me the most, that made the biggest leap forward from the beginning of the year to where he's at the end of the year. And I'm a little partial, and I openly tell you I'm partial 100%, but it's because of what I see in the guy. And my guy is O'Shea Edwards.
Good choice. Good choice.
I mean,
we've seen a lot of O'Shea. A lot of O'Shea this year. And none of it's been bad.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. There was a time when, O'Shea's hitting Georgia, a little bit of Alabama, and by the end of the year, our buddy's hitting Mississippi. He's going to New York. I mean, he's hitting the roads, man. He's getting booked. And not only is he getting booked, by the way, he's doing pretty good. I mean, we went and saw him at an event in Jackson, Mississippi, the Great Southern Eight, where he represented Georgia and made it all the way to the finals, by the way, and faced Ray Fury, who might come up on a list down the road. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
And, so I got nothing to say but, great things about our buddy O'Shea. And
see, this is the hardest one for me. This is my first difference. And it's the hardest one for me to disagree with you on, because I really, really like O'Shea and I like what he's done. But I've got a guy this is basically his first year in the business and has turned into Mr. Incredible. It's Ike Cross. This guy barely been in the business any time at all. And he's killing it out there. He's getting all over the place. He got booked over that show in Mississippi too.
Yeah.
He is the guy that is young and he is moving forward. Super friendly, super charismatic. I think he's my most improved for the year.
I can't argue with it. We saw him at a show last night, and he just every week in and week out, he doesn't disappoint. I don't doubt it in the least. We'll see him somewhere down the road.
I want to say something too. I don't want to leave out the women on this one, because there is one woman who I'm not saying I've seen her develop, because I have not gotten to see all of her matches or even a lot of her matches, but I'm going to go with Harlow O'Hara here, because when we first saw her, it was at a charity show, and she she told us, off the record, she'd barely had any matches prior to that. And she'd barely done anything. And she wasn't bad, but you could tell she needed experience. And now, she's the champion, women's champion in Anarchy.
And she's
one
been
of the
overseas.
biggest promotions of the state. She's been overseas. And that's the thing people ask me. I'm no wrestling expert. I can't tell you everything. I'm a fat guy that sits in his basement and talks about wrestling. But what I have seen, based on other people, is the ones that go overseas get the best experience. And they tend to get booked more places. Travel is everything.
Yep. And now, coming out of I agree with you, by the way. That's full. You want to talk about a year that where she was at to where she ended in this year. I can't say enough great things about Harlow. And I mean, that's, we look for a lot of stuff, which kind
also
of
one of the sweetest people you'll meet.
Oh God, yes. Yeah. Absolutely 100% agree with you on that one. So now what's going to lead us into our Future Star Award. And it sounds like, could it be the same? No. And I'll tell you when we get into it as to why. This is a category where I look at it and say, okay, these are youngsters, if you want to call them that, that I look at and go, they're going to be big, down the road in the future. These are going to be big, big names, I think, pretty down the road. And mine's easy for WWE, by the way. I'll go ahead and jump right out on you here and tell you, it's Pete Dunne, the bruiserweight from over in the UK. I think he, even in the UK Championship this year, he wasn't.
Oh yeah.
He didn't win that tournament, but I think he basically was the biggest one to come out of that tournament.
Easily. I mean, he's had the most momentum since he's come out.
Now he's champ now. I mean, he has since gone on to win. And by the way, most people will tell you the match that he won at TakeOver, it's got to be one of your match of the year candidates.
Oh, it was a phenomenal match.
Yeah.
Everything he got touches is gold. So.
Yeah. So I think he will be a main roster guy. Hopefully, if they don't get that UK product launched, I think he's a main roster guy. They got to get,
Well, they can't let this guy sell. They can't sell on him.
Right. I agree with you 100%. So Pete Dunne's definitely a no-brainer in my opinion.
Got a lot different one here on you too, man.
What's that?
I got to vary on you. I got to go with Jason Jordan as Future Star because you may not like him. He may be a douchey, son of the boss, but the guy has skills. The guy has look. He's going to be so big, it's not even funny. He'll be where Roman Reigns is before you know it. He'll be the guy.
I'll let you roll with that one. Is he talented? Yes, he's extremely talented. He's gifted. I don't doubt that in the least. I just don't know how much he's gonna, be embraced. Maybe is the word I'm looking for. How much is he going to be embraced by the crowd?
It'll come for him. It'll come for him eventually. Nobody starts out super huge. Nobody is John Cena right now.
No,
it's going to take its time, and he'll be there.
Well, same thing. Let's go to the other category. This time I'm going to move over to Ring of Honor. And my future star here is a guy that's on his way up, and you can tell, in my opinion. He has been on the show before. His name's Flip Gordon.
Yes. Agreed.
Guy's just on a tear. He's in a feud with the Hung Bucks. They go kind of going back and forth. So I always tell you this, if they're putting you and trusting you into a feud with anything involved with the Bullet Club,
yep,
they believe in you, and the guy's about as talented when it comes to flying around the ring as anybody. So I 100% think this is probably a no-brainer as far as Ring of Honor goes.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point, and the guy's super cool. Also, he's been so nice to us. You can't fault him there.
Yep. You agree with that one?
No. I mean, I don't disagree, but if we're talking about other stuff,
all right.
I've got to give my award for the other category to Aleister Black, and I don't exactly understand this guy. I don't exactly get his gimmick or all this other stuff he does, but this guy is amazing. He's my up and comer right there. He's gonna be the guy that goes up because he's got a ton of people behind him. He's over, just super over, and it's got to work out. I mean, I don't think that he is the next Ty Dillinger, where he comes up and disappears. This guy has a look, and this guy has the gimmick that are going to make people want him out there on a regular basis.
I don't disagree with his talent. I just, it's always, when you got these awards, there's so many people to choose from. It's kind of hard to.
Oh, well, you get flooded with this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to do my first cheat on the indie stuff that we've seen. I have a tie. And the tie that I'm going with, it's funny, would be one, it was Ike Cross, who was your most improved. I think that he just screams charisma, screams athletic. He's got tons of athletic ability, gets in the ring and does some of the craziest stuff, for a guy his size. And then, cause we've talked a lot about him, obviously on yours. But the guy that I tied him with would be a young man that I walked up to a table just about a year ago and said, I watched one match. It was early in his career. The guy was 19. And I looked at a friend of the show and I said, Terry, this kid is good. And Terry Lawler looked at me straight in the face and said, you're damn right he is. Oh, and by the way, he's 19 years old. And that guy was Austin Theory.
Woo. Woo.
And let's tell the world, by the way, that we watched him and Matt Riddle put on a hell of a match last night.
Yeah, and he kept pace with Matt Riddle like he'd been doing it his entire life. This guy is solid everywhere in the ring, and I think he's getting solid on the mic. The mic skills, I think, is the hardest thing for most guys to develop. And he showed off with a pretty decent promo last night, so I was really pleased with the promo he cut at the end of the show. Made me want to come tonight. I can't go to the show tonight, but it's like, damn, now I wish I could have gone to the show. It was dead on. The guy got me there. If you can make me want to buy a ticket to a show that's an hour from my house in the rainy weather right before Christmas, you got me. That's a good sign. That's a really good sign.
And I love the look. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. Yeah. Even the simple, sometimes, man, a haircut, a different look, a different changes the way everything comes together, man. And he's coming together. So
he's getting everything cut together. He's got everything put like he needs to be to succeed, and he's going to get noticed very quickly.
I mean, he's been out there. He's been in Evolve. I mean, he's been doing some of the bigger indies as well. So, good luck, congratulations. But I think
I'm not belittling him, but I did not know. I knew he was good, but I did not know he could have the kind of match he had last night, and with Riddle, and he was dynamite.
Oh yeah.
So, the Georgia wrestling scene is so insane. It is so insane right now. It is so stacked with talent, and on top of it, the talent comes in from out of state too.
Yeah,
a lot of homegrown talent with WWA 4 and One Fall Power Factory. Our friend Andrew Duckworth, who's injured right now, he's going to come back. It's going to take him a while to get back in. He has a knee injury. Is also another dynamite upcoming star. This guy has the charisma and the understanding of the psychology, and he works a style that is so beautiful to see. And, they've got him right now at NCW being a bit of a chicken shit heel, and it's a good gimmick because not everybody can work that. And he's in real life, he's a super nice person. He's incredibly talented. He's incredibly devoted to wrestling and training and working out. He's also going to go a long way in this business. He's already been on the Ring of Honor shows as an extra. So that's how, that's one of the things you do before you make it. You start showing up on there and they're letting you put the ring up. They're letting you travel. So I'm happy about that.
I agree with you, buddy. Well, man, we gotta put the pedal to the metal here, man. We number 3 tag team. To me, this one's a no-brainer, and I know everybody's going to give me crap about this one. The best tag team in the WWE, week in and week out. If you listen to our show, you know what my take is. and it's the brothers, it's the Usos.
Yeah, I mean, they're great, and they've shown off good this year. They've looked good this year. They've had a lot of accolades. They've won the belts, and if they were two guys that I really liked, for some reason they don't hit me, but they're incredibly talented. But think about it, man. You've got the New Day. You've got the Hardy Boys with Jeff coming back. But the bar to me is the team that's done the most this year as a tag team in WWE. I can't. Two guys who were, although they were phenomenally talented, were getting weighted back in the mid-card or lower mid-card. They put those belts on them when Mick Foley made the tag team, and it's one of the most dynamic things that have happened in wrestling. And those guys have been out there. They've been out there almost every show, busting their asses, and they've turned out a really good product this year.
Well, which leads me to the other. Everybody would holler at this, and the same thing. They're not my cup of tea. I'm not, but I don't. It's not like I can't say I don't appreciate what they do, and that's the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks have to be your top, in my opinion. The Young Bucks are that's my team.
I can't argue with you on that because of the money they've drawn, the T-shirts they've sold. It's not my style. But the thing is, they've stuck together as a consistent tag team who, like I said, they continually work as a tag team. And they have worked all over the place. They've gone to Japan. They sell tickets. And they sell T-shirts. Got their shirts at Hot Topic. That's a big deal. That's a big place to have merchandising shirts for wrestling stuff. And, they're not the WWE that's got all that power. They can put shit anywhere they want to. These guys are dynamite. Not my team, not my favorite team, but if you look at consistency at the top, those guys have continued to stay at the top of the pseudo indie scene and just kicked ass, man.
Yeah, gold hanging off of them everywhere they go. So that's
my favorite. Not my favorite tag team though. Yeah. I personally, that's not my type of wrestling, and I agree with you on that. But,
well, let's come back. That's going to lead me to the indie scene. Some people would say it's not their cup of tea, but in speaking of shirts, it all ties in together for us. My indie tag team is the Gymnasty Boys.
Oh, think about it. Think about the teams that are wrestling regular in Georgia right now. You've got the Ducks are great. You've got the Workhorsemen. Yeah. You've got the Carnies. I can't remember what Gary J and Evans' team.
The Submission Squad.
The Submission Squad, phenomenal tag teams.
I mean, you've got Approved.
The Approved,
yeah, that'll come through. I mean, there's like you said, man, there's team after team after team.
But the ones who have been there consistently, charismatically, leading the charge for wrestling all up and down the East Coast, it's got to be them. The Gymnasty Boys. They have everyone's attention, whether it for good or bad reasons. You may not like whipped cream, and you may not like the way they eat whipped cream, but enough people have liked the way that whipped cream stunt went down, that they drew attention that they're booked all over the place. I do believe Timmy Lou is going to be one of the biggest names to come out of the Georgia, well, not really the Georgia wrestling scene, but the whole East Coast independent wrestling scene. But they wrestle enough in Georgia, it's almost like they're here. And they've named AWE their home promotion.
Right. And I mean, like I said, if you want a can't miss match on an indie scene, if you see the Ugly Ducklings and you see the Gymnasty Boys going, toe to toe on a card, pay your money and go see it. You won't be disappointed. Yes. And absolutely, like I said, Timmy Lou and White Mike, I mean, we saw them a few times and I'm like, dude, those guys can go.
Yeah.
Do they have a hell of a gimmick? Sure they do. They have Facebook, webisodes and all this kind of stuff where they're living, but at the same time, when they get in the ring, they can go. And that's what matters. To me, that's what matters the most, so.
100%. They can go, they're likable, they're super nice guys. Mike has the best neck breaker I think I've ever seen.
Could be.
It's just amazing. Just amazing.
Yep.
So yeah, I couldn't argue on that because it's like every time I see the guys, I get to see something new and cool they do. Just the way Timmy can jump. I get excited about them because they're so damn good. So.
Did you say yours the same vote, or?
Oh, God, it's the same vote. I can't vote for
Okay.
anybody else.
All right. Well, let's go on to now. You wanted to add, because we had it at one point, I thought we had it separate, but together, separate, whatever. So we're going to go with female wrestler of the year. And it's a totally separate category. And mine will stun everybody. I know. My WWE pick is Alexa Bliss.
Oh.
Everyone knows that I think, in my opinion, I think Charlotte's going to go down potentially as probably the best woman wrestler, period. But I just going strictly on this year, Alexa Bliss has carried gold, SmackDown or Raw, for most of the year. So, and we're talking in a bubble of this year. Yeah. So that's why she wins, in my opinion, this year.
Well, the thing is, Nick, it's not that we have the same decisions because we're just kissing ass right here. But we watch a lot of wrestling and we've seen. And Alexa Bliss could also be the most improved woman in the WWE over the course of the year. I'm not saying she was a bad wrestler, but from the time she's put that belt on her, she's got better every match. She's held the gold most of the year. She's captivated the audience. She won all the fanboys over. She's a good little wrestler. She ain't the best one, but nobody's had a belt on this long. You saw some amazing comebacks this year. Alicia Fox came out of the dark from nowhere. She'd been buried for so long. Camilla's had the Money in the Bank title. Charlotte had a pretty good year. They were just great. Natty came back and back to relevant.
Well, she had a run. She had a title run. Yeah. So yeah.
How it's hard to get. It's really hard to get. Well, it's been a good year for women's wrestling, except for the fact that they botched it all up into one match and put all the women into one card. But the good part about it is there has been a lot of development for the women characters, and a lot of women are getting more chances. But Alexa Bliss has been so good for the business this year.
I agree. Now, is she yours, or do you have a different vote for WWE?
She's mine. She's mine, too.
Okay. Now I'm going to go other, and then again, kind of going to shock everybody, because I know everybody wants to head. Remember, it's stuff that we've seen. I have not seen a lot. So I always hear, there's somebody in Japan who's so much better. Probably so. But my other pick is Ember Moon.
That's a good one. That's definitely a good
one. Jumping Jim McDougal's favorite wrestler. But no, she's hell of an athlete. Puts on great matches, and her look, man, is just scary good.
Yeah.
So that's why.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So that's my take.
I'm actually have to go with two. I'm going to go with the iconic duo, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. I got to be careful when I say names like that because I can get them transposed. But those are two that have managed to work a gimmick very successfully, make themselves. They're the best heels in NXT right now as far as women go. They can wrestle apart. They can wrestle separate. They're good, solid wrestlers. Good, solid wrestlers who have had a great year working a gimmick and wrestling decent matches. That's a lot more important than most people think.
I agree with you. And now we're going to hit the indie stuff that we've seen. And this one, a lot of people are like, oh, this girl and that girl. There's a lot of that we love. But when it comes to the look and it comes to the potential, what I think is going to be a superstar down the road, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's Camilla Kane.
Yeah, that's. I mean, Camilla's phenomenal. She's got every possible tool you could have. She's able to market herself with her YouTube channel. She's able to just captivate people with her skills. She's a beautiful woman who, I know that doesn't matter, but if you're going to look at the the WWE women, they need to look a certain way, basically. And she's got everything you could need. She's super athletic. Definitely somebody who's got a future. There's no other way around it.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, she's the total package, no pun intended, right? She's just the look, the everything that goes with it, the intensity. So I think down the road, we see her, somewhere, wherever that is, it's somewhere down the road. She's I think gonna be a star in my opinion. So she's gonna stand out, and she's gonna be, she's memorable. Maybe that's it. Maybe just every night you see her wrestle, that's it. She, you don't forget. Which will bring us to our next category. We're going to mix it up here, change up the pace a little bit. The next one I'm going to bring out is your most memorable moment. Just a moment in your mind that sticks out for whatever reason. And it can be any reason whatsoever. So this one I know we probably are going to have some variation.
I don't know. I don't know if we will as much as you think we do.
Well,
as our favorite moment, the most powerful moment of the year, wrestling 2017.
Well, WWE is probably the same. Mine is obviously, it's real simple. It's Undertaker at WrestleMania, laying the coat, the trench coat, and laying the hat down in the ring and walking out.
Yeah, that was the biggest single moment in wrestling as a whole this year. And he just was I couldn't deal with it, man. He blew my mind.
Do you remember that we actually had a live show scheduled back when we were doing live shows? We were had one scheduled, and it just completely blew it because they overran to the point that it ran into the time that we had slotted on our server that we were using at the time, and it just completely dismantled us for the first 15, 20 minutes of that show. We were so disshuffled because of what happened, and we were still watching it, for crying out loud, when we started. So that was what the crazy part was.
Yep.
So yeah, you're right. I don't think anything could top that as far as memorable. Now there's other stuff that's happened, and we're about to go through it, but that was just a huge moment overall.
Yeah. It was wonderful. It was the way you end. If the Undertaker's career is going to end, that's the way. And that's when everybody keeps saying, oh, he's coming back. Don't bring him back, because it would cheapen what he did to leave.
Yep.
And it actually was the best way, because he's got in the shape where it's not worth seeing anymore. It's bad.
You don't want to deteriorate and be worse. Yeah.
Yes. He's got a good thing right now. He ended on a great ending. It was able to, the emotion involved was able to hide his decay. We'll just say decay. They made a spectacle out of it. He looked good in his final match for what he was capable of, and he walked away with the class.
Yeah. And which, you want to talk about a guy who just doesn't deteriorate. That's going to be my other moment. When we talk about memorable moments, I won't lie. I mean, this is recent, so it comes to fruition. Chris Jericho shows up in a New Japan ring and attacks Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
That, to me, was awesome.
The promo, I would go with the same theme, but the promo he cut after Omega attacked him at the press conference, and he went back and cut probably the best promo I've seen all year. It was amazing. It's like, God, I'm going to watch Japanese wrestling now. And I've never said that before.
So we agree, Jericho in New Japan wrestling is kind of that moment, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and I agree.
And he had the gall to invite Jim Cornette to come manage him for that.
That would be insane.
Knowing how bad Cornette hates Omega.
Yeah. Well, that's maybe why. And, Jericho and him go back to Smoky Mountain, so there's that.
Yeah.
Now this moment, in the Indies, my memorable moment, it's going to be just being there in that moment was what makes it so great to me. And it was a payoff and a half, because it had taken a while to get there. Milestone 7, Matt Yaden had been feuding with Titus Machiavelli and Hoodie over there. He had lost control of his company, Rocky Mountain Pro, and they go into a cage at Milestone 7 with the winner basically taking all and getting control of the company. If Matt loses, he's gone. And he, after a brutal fight, he'd gotten in great shape for this fight, by the way. And then comes back and wins, and, gets control of Rocky Mountain Pro again, and they've moved on to great things on the Fight Network, on the Fight app since then. So so that's my pick.
Great guys. I couldn't say enough about how nice those people are, but if you don't count the WrestleCade experience as a moment, I would count the night we went down to Porterdale to see PCW, because it was a full experience. We didn't know where the show was going to be held, and it turns out it's in this old gymnasium building with no roof. The roof was lost in a fire, so it was this crazy environment. They had all they had their special effects. They had a drone filming. They had commentary from two guys in the crowd, the promoter and one of the former wrestlers. It was too good. It's so much about it. It looked like a big time production, and I can't go on and on enough about how much they hooked me on that. The moments were there. Everything about that show, even though I did not know the angles, I knew the angles the moment they came out, because they were that good. So that's mine.
Well, that will move us on now. This is going to sound weird that we're going here this quick, but we're going to our best male wrestler of the year right out of the gate here. WWE one's very debatable. I'll tell people that all the time. I get it. It's super debatable. But my choice is one Mr. AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can give you reasons if you want to hear it. I mean, it's, his Royal Rumble match with John Cena for one, right?
Yeah.
His feud with Kevin Owens for the United States title. His match with Shane at, Mania. He fills in. Think about this. He filled in at TLC when he fought. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Then he's got, he takes the title from Jinder. And oh, by the way, he gives Brock Lesnar quite possibly his best match since he's been back at Survivor Series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and oh, by the way, he's the champ again.
Yeah. AJ is got to be my favorite wrestler. And that's, that's kind of hard because I've fallen for Braun Strowman, but this guy, AJ, is amazing. And he also is able to captivate the whole audience every time. He comes out there, he puts on a great one every time. He's just amazing, So that's my guy. I agree with you 100% too.
I think it's a no-brainer. I just think, and quite arguably, he's probably the best wrestler in the world right now. And people can make Okada, make it, da-da-da-da. I just, in my opinion, I think AJ Styles is the best wrestler in the world right now.
Yeah.
My other, shouldn't shock anybody, to be honest with you, but if it does, that's crazy. My other, everybody thinks I'm going to Japan, and I'm not. My other is Mr. Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
I mean, think about this. At one point, he was in the WWE. He goes out of WWE, joins the Bullet Club, wins the Ring of Honor Championship. He was the hottest free agent at that point. Oh, by the way, he's on TV on Arrow, and so forth and so on. I mean, he has marketed himself into a super contract, not with the WWE.
Well, he's getting to the point where he's going to be bigger than wrestling. And that's not a bad thing. There are very few people in that point. The Rock, John Cena. Not a lot of people like that. Think about that. He has the definite potential to be right up there with those guys because his social media game, dead on, perfect, beautiful wife, cool dogs, Georgia fan. The guy just has every little bit together. He's he marketed so well, packaged so well. He's wrestling all over the world. He's drawing attention. He has managed to keep himself higher profile than he was in WWE. Higher profile than the guy working when he was working for the biggest company in the world. That's insane. That's just insane. And it's been wonderful.
You know, and then it's going to bring me into one. This one's going to floor a lot of people because I've watched enough of the guy's matches. My Indy pick, if that's what you want to call it, brace yourself, don't fall out of your chair. I'm going with Ray Fury out at Pro Wrestling Ego.
Ray's dynamite.
Yeah. Winner of the Great Southern 8 over our buddy O'Shea Edwards, by the way. Multiple titles this year, you know, including the Elevate Heavyweight Championship amongst many other ones. So, but that Ray Fury's had one hell of a run, and, you know, seeing him in person, he lived to the bill. We got to watch him 3 times in one night.
Yeah.
And, you know, and seeing's believing. That's all I'm going to say with Ray Fury.
Yeah, well, I give you that. I got to go with Matt Riddell. He won SCI. He puts on consistently good matches. He's different. He's got a different look. He's got a whole different performance style. He's amazing, and he retired Tank. He's going to be famous somehow. I don't know what federation he'll be perfect for, but he has got the charisma and he has got the amazing skill that he is my guy. Gunnar Miller's Gunnar Miller's a tough one not to be picking with him. He's going to be big. We've got all our friends that we know that have got tremendous potential, but Riddell is he is that damn good. So.
Good choice. I'll give you solid choice. Like I said, man, let's kick the gas here a little more, man. We're at pay-per-view, our pay-per-view of the year as far as our favorite one, et cetera, et cetera. WWE to me is pretty easy. Year in and year out. If nothing else, the spectacle of Mania makes it good. We just talked about our moment with Undertaker. You got Shane, Shane, every year Shane's going to do something. Going to do something crazy. So those are kind of things.
Spectacle.
It's always spectacle.
The Hardys came back.
Yep.
Taker retired. Shock all the time. Hosted by the New Day. It was just dynamite, man.
Yep.
Absolutely dynamite.
Goldberg, this, that, and the other. It's always something, right? Every time. So they deliver. I mean, I know it's long and everybody wants to make that argument. It is too long most of the times. I wish it was shorter. It kind of is what it is. So
you just have to give up your whole day for it. That's only the way you can put it. On WrestleMania Day, everything else has to stop, and you just have to give your whole day up for it.
Yep.
It's a whole project day
between pre-game, pre-kickoff, and all of that stuff. It's like you said, it's an all-day affair. Kind of another one that's if you want to talk about, I don't want to say ruins your day, but you want to talk about one that'll screw your schedule up. My other was Wrestle Kingdom, from New Japan. That's some best pay-per-view, I think, but man, it's always long and it's at a weird time of the day for us. It's like 4 or 5 in the morning, that you have to wake up to watch it. It's just crazy. Most of the time, I won't lie. I typically DVR it. I order it, DVR it, and then watch it later when I wake up because it's just real tough to watch. That early in the morning. I'm not a morning guy. So, but year in, year out, they all. This year it's Omega. It was Omega and Okada. They put on their trilogy of matches. Obviously, that was just phenomenal. But Wrestle Kingdom 11, man, never disappoints.
Mm-hmm. I didn't watch any matches, any pay-per-view of an other, technically. There's indie wrestling stuff, but I just didn't watch any other, I didn't watch a Ring of Honor, I didn't watch a TNA, and I didn't watch any New Japan. So I watched some NXT, and the takeover shows, every consistent takeover show is great. Do I have a favorite one where I'm like, oh, that was a great one? No, I like them all, but I didn't watch any other things besides them.
Indy. I mine's pretty simple, and in my opinion, Rocky Mountain Pro, Milestone 7, I sat there, and one thing they did phenomenal is they build their feuds. They build them all to purpose. They do it for months. It's not for weeks. And you're emotionally invested in pretty much every feud because everybody's fighting for something. And that's, a lost art. And that's just to me.
It was a phenomenal show.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal show. Top to bottom, a phenomenal show. I wish, more independents could follow that model that they're working on, because they have done something special out there. And they've managed to put storyline back into independent wrestling. So it's that, is that what they do in Lucha Underground? Is that what they, is that why Lucha Underground is popular? Because they've done something that has made wrestling storylines on an indie show. Nothing against most indie shows, but they run once a month. It's really hard to keep, people's attention when you run once a month.
Yeah. Now we're going to jump from pay-per-view. We're going to take a step down to the matches. Match of the year, and like I said, for us, pretty, cut and drive WWE for me. I thought it was a simple one. I don't know why nothing really else popped into my mind. When I thought what was my favorite match of the WWE this year, it was AJ Styles and John Cena at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Textbook clinic, was perfect. Lots of high spots, but not too many. Lots of finishers, but not too many. Totally believable. I really, really, really love that match. Those guys look so good. It was a good promotion.
Everybody can knock John Cena all they want, but when he gets the right dance partner, and let's be blunt, AJ Styles is a great dance partner.
Yeah.
John Cena can still go, and of course nobody ever questions AJ. A lot of people want to say, "Oh, AJ carried him." No. The intensity and everything that was there, that match was a great match. I don't know about stars and don't really care, but that was a good match. That was a really good match, and it was probably, in my opinion, one of the best ones. Now, there's some debatable other ones. I mean, I was a big fan of some of the, the New Day versus the Usos. Some of those were really good.
Yeah, they had a Hell in a Cell match. It was awesome.
And some people would even argue AJ when Brock could have been argued that as one of the best matches of the year. But I'm sticking with AJ versus Cena. So that's my take.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you 100% on
that. Be honest with you, again, seemed pretty easy to me. I actually did watch this match. It took me a while to get to it. It took me probably 2 weeks to get to it. You want to cheat and talk about Okada and Omega, the trilogy of matches they had. And some people try to argue, Wrestle King. I thought the New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion show they did, the 60-minute draw match was hands down was better. Lots of really cool stuff in that match. Even stuff like creative, there's a spot in the match. They're just so exhausted that when Okada goes for the Rainmaker, Omega doesn't dodge the move. He collapses to his knees because he's so tired, and that's why Okada misses. You know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those, he didn't miss because the psychology there was actually, I felt like they put a little more into that match, than the first one. And the first match was great. Don't get me wrong. So that was my pick on other.
I'm going to go with the NXT War Games show. And I know a lot of people have bashed the NXT War Games match, but it was entertaining. It had stuff that kept me just active and watching the whole time. I loved it. I loved the War Games match that they had on the last NXT show, NXT pay-per-view show. It was a phenomenal match.
Solid. I'll go with you. Solid choice there.
Yeah.
And I know we talked a little bit off air, so let's go ahead and be blunt here. We know we agree on this next match, that we, talked about our match of the year that we saw. Yeah. I cheated because I saw it more than once. It was, Terry Lawler and Chip Day.
Which one?
I'm going to obviously go with the last, his retirement match. I'm going to go with that just because of the sheer emotion involved there.
Well, see, I didn't get to go to that one.
Right.
I got to see the second to last match they had at Southern Fried, and there was so much emotion there. And it's just if they would have had to had an actual torch to done a better passing of the torch bit with that. It was nuts, man. It was powerful. Everybody there was captivated. It took the house down. Couldn't have seen more emotion in that match. And they put on a clinic, an absolute clinic on wrestling, both technical style or striking style. It was amazing.
Yeah. And like I said, the emotion is what makes a great match. And it doesn't get any more emotional than that. So I'm sticking to, I could cheat and go the duo of matches, but I'm going with the last, his retirement match, Terry Lawler's retirement match versus Chip Day. So, that's my pick and I'm sticking to it. So,
it's hard to go wrong with that. It's really hard to go wrong with that.
So now we're going to bump up to Feud of the Year. To me, sneaky pick here, WWE, I'm going with John Cena versus Roman Reigns.
John Cena and Roman Reigns.
Yep. They had the feud where they went back and forth and, they led up to that big match that they had against each other where it got super personal. Cena cut some hell of a promo, on Roman. Roman had a few shots back, but he just kept, but he ended up, of course, at the end picking up the win, which I thought was a pretty cool deal.
I'm going to go with a feud that probably ended too soon due to injury. And it was something that drew everybody's attention. It was Enzo and Cass, where they split apart and Enzo went on to be such a big deal. You may not like it, but it's selling tickets. It's selling merch. People are paying attention. Anything Kevin Owens was involved in last year was a huge feud. Also not my favorite wrestler, but he makes people hate him. He works a good feud. The Miz had great feuds this year. They've done a lot with heel development. So, I can't pick one that is perfect, but the one between Enzo and Cass was an emotional feud where best friends split apart and everybody was talking about it.
Well, we'll go to other, and I'll tell you why. You want to talk about people talking about a feud? I just referenced it, so it's not that shocking, right? Okada and Omega's, the trilogy of matches they put on, 5-star, 6-star, 12-star Tokyo Dome or whatever, that series of matches, man, has been, it was arguably probably the best series of matches that, all year anywhere in wrestling. If you, from what everybody will tell you. So easily go to New Japan for Okada versus Omega as the feud of the year outside of the WWE.
Yeah. I can't go wrong with a feud that's not even had its payoff yet, and that's Jericho and Omega, because they have sold me on that. They have made me interested just with the promos and just with their little run-ins, man. They got me with it, and that's something that it's so good to see, where they can actually make you interested in a product you don't watch or don't care about. And they can hit it so great with something they're doing that I'm thinking about buying a Japanese pay-per-view. Okay? How? So, it's to me, that's the passion that's drawn me to that feud.
Well, I'll ask you this, because I would have to gamble out and say that our feud that we saw the most, and that we thought was the best, is probably going to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
On the indie scene, I'm just calling it JB Enterprises versus Todd Sexton at Southern Fried Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, that was insane. It was well written. It lasted forever. It brought in other people. It had its payoff in War Games cage. It had angles. It had handcuffs. It had comedy. It had getting hit with foreign objects. Every possible foreign object you could come up with. Man, I'm telling you, that was well written, well acted out, including the vignettes. The vignettes that were done for it were phenomenal. Man, they did this right. They did it to the quality level of something that would involve Bob Armstrong and Ron Fuller back in the early 80s. These guys were amazing. I think your main characters, Todd Sexton, Drew Blood, and Dr. Joseph Brock III, just killed it. Todd's wife was involved. Todd's friend Rick Michaels was involved, which he killed it the whole year. They got into other members of JB Enterprises, massive matches. It was insane, man. We were at Covington that night for it wasn't the payoff match, it was a street fight match. And they drug us outside to watch, and just everybody, it's not a big venue, and everybody was just in there as that match was going on. And Rick was handcuffed, and the guys were just captivating. It was good. They did a really, really good job of that. And I thank you guys. It was amazing.
I 100% agree. It was like we had the same choice there. Now kind of just some fun categories, if you want to call it that, for us. These aren't, like serious in the sense of what you're thinking. The favorite guest that we had, in my opinion, that I had personally, let me go with that. It's pretty damn easy. Every time the guy's on, I have a blast. I have fun. And that's O'Shea Edwards. He's easy. He's an easy interview, charismatic. And like I said, I can't ever tell you every time I've talked to him, I've had fun.
Yeah. Well, he's like that. He is absolutely like that. And you got him on a lot this year.
Oh, it's funny. The last time I talked to him, I'm like, dude, it's been too long. It's time to have you back on again. It's easy and it's fun.
Definitely. I had so many great guests. It's so hard for me to pick one. I had a phenomenal conversation with Harlow O'Hara. Very, very interesting woman. Very personable. We had a very good, simple conversation. Sounded like we'd been friends forever. And we covered a lot of topics, from personal growth to wrestling. I had a phenomenal conversation with Will Huckabee. Very interesting man. It was a good year for Wrestling Chalk. And I could not have been happier with all the wonderful people I've met this year. I had some, if you like a funny kayfabe style interview, the JB Enterprises shows, I was really happy about the one where Todd Sexton called in the middle of the show and interrupted. It was just wonderful, man. It was just wonderful. I love what I do. I couldn't be happier.
And which leads me to our next category here, the mark out moment for us. Like, cause we still have these moments, we had WrestleCade, we had a lot of, events where we met, and there were some cool moments there, don't get me wrong. But still, earlier this year, my mark out moment, got to finally, we'd had him on as a guest. We met him, and just meeting Ron Fuller and him treating us as nice as he did, and then kind of just treating us like friends, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Was just really cool. And, that's just a moment that I still kind of feel like I step outside myself, and it's like I cannot believe that moment happened.
That was amazing. I met my hero, Tom Pritchard, my just somebody who we were at the bar at the hotel outside WrestleCade, and it was just so cool. But Ron went so far out of the way to make us feel welcome that I can't go against that, man. He did that. He just spent his time and devoted time to us. That was super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, big shout out to the original Tennessee stud, Ron Fuller. That's
yes.
We're still fans at heart. And I think, I mean, to sit there and say that moment probably stood out to me more than anything this year, as far as like me being like a kid again kind of thing.
Yeah. I got to give honorable mention though to Pro Wrestling Ago, the Great Southern 8, with that false finish between O'Shea and Ray Fury. And I marked. They got me. I jumped up. I was furiously pissed off. Front row. It was insane, man. It was insane. Thousands of matches. I probably watched 1,000 matches this year. And that was the first time I jumped up and like, what the hell is going on? And I was emotional. They got me. They did it perfectly. Congratulations, guys. It's the best thing I could possibly say about your promotion. You worked me. You worked me.
They got you up. That's for sure. Last but not least, we wanted to kind of do something a little special here. We call it our Hall of Fame vote. If you want to call it with that, call that what you will. That's what we're calling it. It's our Hall of Fame vote. This one to us is a no-brainer. This one's a piece of cake. We didn't even think about this. We literally looked at each other and bam, we had our answer. We're going with our buddy, great friend of the show, Terry the Rocker Lawler. I mean, he's meant so much to us as far as the show goes that we did essentially 2 specials, on his retirement. So
he took time out for us even during his retirement shows to talk to us. He took time out to talk to us at a AWE show and tell us things. And, he's always introduced us to people so we could, and just the fact that we got the rub from him gave us so much credibility that we were able to meet so many people. And that guy, he did some really special things for us. On top of the fact that he works the crowd. People love this guy. No one in the business, and I've talked to God knows how many thousand people this year, can say a bad word about him.
Nope. And it's, his imprint, on the business is, it's not just a wrestler. I mean, he's, obviously as a wrestler, he's been around for 28 years or whatever. It was crazy. But then you got, I joke, and then you got, all the people he was involved in their training, all the people that he's worked with. I mean, like you said, everybody has great things to say. I mean, go back in the archives. There's 2 episodes dedicated, essentially to his retirement with, one episode with a bunch of people that he's, left a big mark on their life and, wanting to say great things about the guy. So, and us, we're part of that group. So, that was, if anybody deserves to be in a Hall of Fame, especially, if you want to say a Georgia Hall of Fame or, a Southeastern Hall of Fame, a Wrestling Hall of Fame, just simply a Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, our vote would go to Terry Lawler. And that's kind of where, I think I'll probably end it on that one. So
definitely. Thank you, Terry. Thank you for the matches. Thank you for the help. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Thank you.
Well, buddy, that kind of wraps up the year in review. I know, it was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But, we had a lot of stuff to go through.
End of the year, man.
We'll probably have another wrap up show here, not like this, something a little different coming up. We want to make sure, by the way, you check out, tomorrow night on the Dorkies on the Gorilla Press with the Wrestling Dorks. They're doing the worst of. They're doing a worst of show. It will primarily, be honest with you, it will be primarily geared towards WWE because that's kind of what they do. But it will be the worst of, and they'll have a bunch of stuff. If you go on Twitter and look out, they put some categories up, shoot them some, ideas, over to them and let them know, share, kind of help them out. But, hey, I mean, it's, we've got the Best of Impact coming up with, the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast with Lewis. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you're going to get something similar on Ring of Honor, NXT, kind of wrapping up the year. So it's just that kind of the year where we all kind of do that. But man, hey, you got anything else before I throw some plugs in and we get out of here?
No, man. I really enjoyed this. These shows are so much fun to prepare because, you get to look back at what you've done and think about all the special memories. And, before we leave, By the time this show is out, Nick will have had his birthday. His birthday is Monday. I apologize. His birthday is Monday. Happy birthday, Nick.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for this year. I've had a great time doing this. Thank you for the fans that have given us this opportunity. But Nick has really, really done great work for us this year. Starting all this, following through with all this, and helping me to get to the point where I can live out some of my childhood dreams as a wrestling fan. Thank you, Nick, and happy birthday.
Thanks, buddy. Well, I appreciate it, man. So like I said, if you guys do want to, throw us your feedback, remember, constructive feedback, please. Just if you've got thoughts, other, things you pick. I mean, hey, that's what Twitter's for, @TappedOutPod. That is what, you can find us at @TappedOutPod pretty much on every social media platform, Instagram, Snapchat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Facebook, it's, it's @TappedOutPod is the the tag, but it's Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. You can find us there. Email us at tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Like I said, make sure, hey, we're always telling you, go to the website, tappedoutpod.com. Easy for me to say. Subscribe. That's what we ask you now for our Christmas gift from you guys. Go subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. God, we're on Spotify now. We're everywhere.
Yeah, it's almost impossible not to find us.
Pretty much. I mean, I joked about it today. Here's the crazy part. I Googled something today and it came up with us on a service that I'd never seen us on before. So that was what was crazy. I was Googling something else and it was a topic that we had covered on the show and it came up, which was crazy.
That's amazing.
Hey, yeah, it is. So anyway, like I said, go check us out, subscribe. If you're on iTunes, Google Play, something like that, and you're already a subscriber, leave us the 5-star rating and review. We appreciate that. Again, that'd be our Christmas gift from you. We'd appreciate it. We look forward to coming back, week in and week out and doing these shows for you, of course. But man, hey, support us, ProWrestlingTees.com, buy a shirt, you can find us at, just go to ProWrestlingTees.com, Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast, you'll find us. And of course the links are always up on the thing. So support the sponsors, the Amazon affiliate link. We cover that enough on the other shows, so make sure you figure out how to do it. And of course the guys over at the, Fight TV app, we appreciate those guys more than you know. They've, hooked us up with a lot of, the indie promotion. So all of that, I just wanted to say thanks. And, but with that, man, hey, what time is it, Myron?
It's time to tap out.